right, what's going on? What's going on, everyone? Sorry, it took me a while to figure out what we were talking about here on that trend line because I was looking to connect the low here and I just didn't calculate in my brain. Now I got it, and that's actually really, really nice. I'm glad you pointed that out. I like it. I've also, like I just said earlier, I feel like we could see a big move here against the Japanese yen, but it has to be confirmed first, right? We need the breakdown. Then we have that resistance above. I'll be watching it. Nice point out. I like that you pointed that out. Justin, I'm glad to be here too, and looking forward. We're going to first just talk about a few different things going on in crypto that you guys have noticed that both Alan and Brandon have really just been sharing a lot of wonderful information. Greg pointed out, he was like, listen, there's so much great content coming out of these two that the trading class could just be covering that material. It would be better if they were presenting it. It would be different sort of trading because it isn't focused on trading per se, rather on awareness, surveillance of what's going on in the crypto market. These guys make their own news. Alan, I need a disclaimer. It's true. These guys are just blowing up the chat with really, really just exceptional information. There's one thing that I want to talk about. We'll start the session off with. when it comes to Ethereum and Bitcoin. Also has me rethinking about whether or not I'm going to sell my Ethereum and Chainlink positions, right? So I want to discuss that, and then we'll get into questions. Any questions you guys have about FX, about the course, about trading, and or the markets, we will, after we finish this little bit of presentation, you guys can post whatever you want. We'll get into it. I want to start off with this tweet over here. This is what I was focused in on. This tweet, and let me see what it says, by the way. I just wrote, look, take note. This morning we discussed as Bitcoin finishes its current move, alts should pump. A question if Bitcoin's pulled back 30%, though. Here's what happened the last cycle. And Brandon actually helped point it out what I was missing here. I was focused in on as Bitcoin pulled back over here, right? This is the new all-time high last cycle. Just so everyone is just on the same page, I just want to show you exactly what I'm talking about. This is where we are right now on this chart we're looking at right over here. As Bitcoin comes into the new all-time high, which was around 11,050 at that point, you could see that there was that big pullback. And Ethereum, you could see, made its move over here. But Brandon pointed out, no, Jordan, look, this is where we are right over here. That's that first 30% pullback. Ethereum maintained, it just stayed steady as Bitcoin pulled back, which, by the way, means that the Ethereum Bitcoin, the Ethereum Bitcoin trade is appreciating. And then as Bitcoin went on to make that new all-time high, right, you could see that Ethereum ran up even during the next Bitcoin pullback, which happened over here. This one right over here. Ethereum really was appreciating big time during that. So all of that had me thinking, or has not only me thinking, here it is. Here's the first pullback. Here's Ethereum. You can see Ethereum. And then here's the second pullback. And Ethereum right after that second pullback went rocket. Now, look at these charts that Alan shared, by the way, just so you can see what's going on right now. This is the Ethereum Bitcoin chart over here. And you could see this massive descending wedge. Not only descending wedge, but multi-month descending wedge. It's also coming in right now into this, thanks, Dan, right into this trend line over here, right? We're towards the top. He's got two over here. He's got a clone trend line, the upper and the lower connecting these peaks. We're right over here touching the other one, right? So by the way, anyone who's beginning to take an Ethereum Bitcoin position, I tend to focus in on, right, myself, US dollar pairs, but this makes a lot of sense, which is why I'm reviewing it, which is why I'm sharing it over here. You could see over here that right now we're towards the bottom portion of this descending wedge, the support over here. We got this upper trend line support, and it's a good place to begin positioning in, right? Or even if we drop further, you could add to that position, right? Does it look like what we just discussed over here, looking at the past cycles and what has happened as we're right now lined up into that past cycle, that Ethereum is getting ready to make a big move versus Bitcoin? To me, it does. It looks very clear. It's got me at the very least, not that I'm going to position it. I won't position into Ethereum versus Bitcoin, that cross pair. But it really got me thinking that I do want to hold my Ethereum position for a little longer than I was originally planning on, maybe a lot longer, right? Right now, I was thinking of, as Bitcoin originally touched 18,000. First, it was 16,000. I said I would exit my Ethereum and Chainlink position. I then changed that, revised it to 18,000. Now we're at 18,000. Ethereum's getting close to breaking this resistance over here. And once we break it, I think we go much higher, So I'm going to be holding my position a while longer. Is that Snake? I don't know what that is. That comes default on Mac Catalonia. That comes default on Mac Catalonia. I have no idea. I don't know. It reminds me of whatever island in Gold Rush, whatever one they do in the Baltic Sea. Thinking about fundamentals for a second on Bitcoin, I'm thinking if and when Biden is being sworn in, Bitcoin will be flying. If Trump makes a comeback, this is a great thought. By the way, this is a great thought, and Reminds me of Croatia. Croatia is one of the most beautiful places in the world. Um, Listen, I think that Bitcoin has shown us over the past couple of months that regardless of what's going on, Bitcoin is doing its own thing right now according to its cycle, right? So I think even during the election, right? I mean, and even pre-election, as the market sold off 10% over here, 10% from September all through September into October, Bitcoin was rising. So I feel like why that's a great thought that I don't know. I don't think personally, this is just my opinion. This is nothing more than just my assertion that I don't think it factors in. Now, if in what we've talked about possibly the Bitcoin model breaking to the upside, if we have Georgia go blue and Biden president and they come out with a $3 trillion stimulus package, is that going to help Bitcoin's case? A lot, right? A lot. But Bitcoin's case seems to be doing that on its own. You're seeing right now, you just saw the third richest person in Mexico, right? I know we got over here. I can't see where that background is, but I know you're in Mexico City today. Salinas, the third richest person in Mexico, just put 10% of his liquid net worth into Bitcoin. And that's a trend. You're seeing more and more, whether it's Stanley Druckenmiller, Paul Tudor Jones. Either which way, these two, I would love, Brandon, I would love for you and for Alan or individually or together to do a presentation on what you guys are seeing. I'm grateful for all the information that you're sharing every day. This is Brandon's chart, by the way, a longer term view of that same exact descending wedge. And you could see that below this area, when I say this area over here, that we do have, if we were to break down over there, we could see a significant pullback. And is it, by the way, is it possible that Bitcoin doesn't pull back over here? And if Bitcoin breaks out over here, of the Max Kaiser theory plays out, and as we break the all-time high, we rocket up to 30,000, which, I mean, it's possible. I don't think that happens. It's possible. If that happens, then we would see, obviously, most likely, a pullback towards this trend line over there. That would be one that I think everyone would have to get involved in. Don't worry. First of all, no politics during our live training sessions, but don't listen. God's in control. Don't worry about anything. Whether if Trump's president, half the U.S. is going to be stressed out. If Biden's president, the other half of the U.S. is going to be stressed out. Everyone has their reasons. Listen, God is in control, right? I know it's too dark. There's no question about it, Nicholas. No problem about that. But what he focus on this line. I can't draw on this right now, but where my mouse is, if you could focus, there's a trend line connecting this point over here, and then it connects this point over here, and then we continue it up. It's a clone trend line of this line that we're currently towards that, just below that support, and this one. So by the way, this is a bit of a warning sign that we could see if we lose this area of support over here, a bigger correction. But that's why I don't trade Ethereum Bitcoin pair straight up. All right. Let me catch up on a couple of comments over there. Snake Island. Thoughts on blockchain stocks? Look, I think, Chris, I think the trade is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the trade. And when you're talking about these institutions, when you're talking about these public companies, when you're talking about these billionaires, central banks, they're buying Bitcoin, right? So block, what's going to appreciate more? Some penny stock, maybe, but it's a gambling. It's a high risk. You're not looking to gamble with your money. You're making to make really educated bets with your money. Bitcoin seems to me not only to be the only trade that matters, but the most important trade to matter. When you're talking about even from current levels, we're not talking 10x anymore, by the way. We're not talking 10x anymore. Maybe it's possible, right? It certainly is possible. It's possible we go to $280,000 during this bull market. Who knows? But do the math so that even if we only hit 140, you've met and reached and exceeded all your goals. Get out, look to accumulate during the, during 15 months to the next halving, do it all over again. And no matter the amount of money you're starting with, do that for the next 2 cycles, and you should have a significant amount of money. Focus on the high probability trade. I don't think you should focus on these little plays. And I've always said before, even though alts, and I'm interested in this. I'm interested in this. I mean, this just made it very clear for me. Is this different situation? It's a completely different situation. What was going on with Ethereum over here, by the way, had a lot to do with ICOs. ICOs were a big catalyst of this bull market. People were using Ethereum largely to buy ICO tokens. There was a huge use case for Ethereum. But guess what? There is not right now also on DeFi, right? DeFi built around Ethereum also has a huge use case. Not only that, you're seeing the next upgrade taking place on Ethereum. There's a lot happening, and it seems like there will continue to be a lot built out on Ethereum. Oh, yes, Kaya. Brandon, did you? Oh, we're only a few minutes in. Brandon, how far are we in? We're only 15 minutes in, but you're going to need to go back and watch that only because we asked whether or not you were going to put together something in the future for us all. Either which way, if you can make the 15 minutes, do watch what's going on over there. Look, this is why we've planned everything out, and we're going to look at the US dollar, Japanese yen in 1 second, Kaya. Awesome, Brandon. Look, so let me know also if there's anything you want to add to I'm only focusing on here on Ethereum, Bitcoin, and that portion that you and Alan have shared. Now, and we need to see a photo. It's probably in the Telegram group. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. All right. I don't know if Alan's in here or not, but hopefully we'll let him know in the Telegram group. FOMO. This is why ahead of time, again, Mike Tyson, everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face, right? Bitcoin rips from $20,000 to $30,000. A lot of people are just punched in the face. This is why we want the plan ahead of time. As these things happen and unfold in real time, there's serious psychological and emotions that take place. This is why every day we're talking it out together. We're here working together to be able to ride this wave as close to perfection as possible. Let me jump into US dollar, Japanese yen. If anyone at this point wants to ask any questions about anything, including, Ethereum, Bitcoin, crypto, and or, the course, markets, trading, please go ahead and include them in the comments. That's how we'll follow what's going on over here. This is the US dollar, Japanese yen. A couple of things I notice. I'm seeing the US dollar a little bit bid today, right? It's broken. When I say a little bit bid, it's broken above. Oh, look at that. There we go. Crash back down, or it's crashing back down, but it's coming in for a retest. There you go. Here's the 8-hour. Look, we're coming back in for a retest right now. If it falls back below, I'll actually be happy. Why? Because it's a lot clearer for me. Right now, above this trend line, like that bearish dollar tilt is off, and I'm neutral. And I'm neutral all the way up here to 94. That's a big area. If we break down below here, I could be more bearish on the dollar. I like having clarity, even though if you know you're neutral, that's clarity. But even still, we've just broken out over here. We have not broken down below. This is a retest. Let's see if we resume up or break down below. So that doesn't give us much help here with the US dollar, Japanese yen, as much as I thought it would. Because here you could see that last spike in the strong dollar, in that dollar move up. But it's taking us back into what? Resistance, that little touch, right? So watch out for a resumption down here on the Japanese yen. Is that something that you want to take, right? Let's look at that, because we have this triangle pattern, right? Not only that, you had the fake breakout to the upside, and then we have this. But I have to be honest, this whole area here is noisy for me, right? Because this is a breakdown, and then nope, a breakout, and now back down. So is a lot of uncertainty for me, and so I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be involved. And if you look at the range, we have not really, a 300 pip range in 6 months. That's not really something that's exciting, that's attractive. Are we consolidating here and getting ready for a big move? Possibly. Possibly. I don't see the trade though. I don't personally see the trade. No, I don't think there's any information that could be taken. We had a gap yesterday afternoon. You could see that like this little bit of gap. If the gap first of all, it was a small gap. There's no, you could see them there often. Like here's another one. That's probably a weekend gap over there. But it's not uncommon. Here's another little one. It's not uncommon at all. And I don't think there's anything to read into it. I think the only thing that we're focused on over there is the fact that it had broke above the trend line, right? That's something that we have to make an observation. It's important to us that we went from bearish dollar, completely technical, till neutral, right? And that's where we are. And instead of going like, because over here we went bullish on that break of that trend line. It was the first time that trend line had been broken in several months. And then the trade, which we managed well, fell back into the thing. This one, we didn't go bullish. We stayed neutral. This one over here, same thing. I'm just neutral. We're not going to get whipsawed back and forth. We're going to wait now as the market is undecided for a little bit of clarity. And it's a lot similar situation on the US dollar, Japanese yen. You can't get whipsawed. You could take this side to the down. You could take that first trade to the up. But now, like, you just can't keep going back and forth. The blue box on the DXY, yes, it should be like imprinted in your mind. And it's right over here. Right? And it's basically that area over here. Should it be down to here? Yes, it should. There you go. Ron, let's focus on this one right here. Ron, my focus on good entry opportunities, please. More focus on good entry opportunities. So I think what you mean over there is more focus on when to trade and when not to trade. Getting stopped out, even with wide stop loss and CTMs, maybe came to the game at the worst possible time with the market uncertainty, right? But need to strengthen my entry play. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. It's really good information. I'm going to focus in on this. I wish I could timestamp these things as they happen. So this could be a clip because this is all important stuff. Due to this, and before I do, just Kaya, let me finish up on that last thought on DXY. Look, am I staying away from the majors? I've been staying away from the Euro US dollar for months now, right? For months. Let's talk about it. We're going to revert back to you, Ron, in 1 second, because this is probably the most important question of the session. But I want to start here with the Euro US dollar. And since over here, right about first week of August, I have been neutral on the Euro US dollar. I haven't traded it after taking some really good trades on it. Really good trades. Massive amount of pips, right? And that's a big move, right? That's a big move, 400 pips more. And I've been neutral, not because I wanted to stay away, but because the market wasn't showing me any edge whatsoever, right? So I've been staying away from the majors. And by the way, on the DXY, this is why we do the live streams every day together. It was right over here also that I said, look, we're consolidating. And then we had an opportunity to go long over here, and that didn't work out. And then we got we have basically this whole portion over here, this whole blue box has been extraordinarily tough to navigate. And we have really navigated it masterfully, right? By knowing when not to trade and when to trade. And that's really been the theme. Look, I'm going to get back to the entries thing in 1 second. A lot of us want to force what's going on with the markets. And, what we do is we look for the market to be our mentor. And the market right now has been showing us, as if anyone's been watching these live streams since the week before the election, they have been known that I've basically been mostly sidelined. Going into the election, of course, that was on purpose. Since it is not, it's because as we look around the markets, I could see that everything is just indecisive. everything's indecisive. So if you're new and you're just starting, right, I still think you should be taking 3 trades a week, because I think it's really important to be getting that practice in, to be making sure that you fully understand what setup you're looking for, to be making sure that you fully understand your risk per trade, your position sizing. All of these are the single most, this is 101. This is the most critical thing, because without that stuff in place, you cannot be profitable. Now, I have to say, these last few weeks have been tough, but for myself, they haven't been tough because I've been avoiding them. But you can't do that because you're in a different situation where you're trying to learn, right? So it's tough for you to be in a situation where you're trading markets that are indecisive and not showing clarity and direction. Now, some people have put on very good trades during these last few weeks. No question about that. They're there. I think you should be looking for them. Ron, you even said, I think it was Ron who said, no, it wasn't Ron. Who said that they've even used wider stops? It was Ron. I've used wider stops. It's not working out, right? And it's because the markets, I can't say the markets are tough right now, because they're very clear that you should not be so active. Like, I feel like I'm cruising right now, especially coming off 2020 in the year that and the opportunities that have presented themselves. If I was just starting trading in November, would I think the markets are tough? I would have to say so. Let me just catch up with what comments you guys are saying, and then we can continue in 1 second. July was an enormous moneymaker, not for just the Euro-US. For me, the Euro-US dollar. I was also involved in Japanese yen trades, against Japanese yen trades then in that period. And I have to say that month was, for most, extraordinary, right? It was a very easy month to trade. I'm going to check that out in a second. Okay. This is true. So, by the way, let's continue this conversation framed around this comment over here. All right? Because Lazy Turtle's saying one of the biggest problem new traders face right now is finding trending markets. This strategy is a momentum strategy, right? Which means what? That this strategy, the most success that you're going to have from it is when markets are expanding. You all know I avoid sideways markets, and I'm looking for markets that have the potential to move multiple levels, right? So the better you get, and you should over time, right, be getting better and better at distinguishing sideways markets from markets that have the potential to move. How do you do this? Well, it's the work we do every day in the live streams together as we're going over charts, because lately, especially this morning, all I could say is there's no clarity. There's no clarity. There's no clarity, right? And when there's no clarity, there's no sense in trying to force it. And it's true. So if you could, you have to first of all so it's a little different, right? Because man, think about how much experience I have trading this, right? So you're looking for when markets are trending, when markets are expanding. And how do you do that? You have to easily be able to also know when markets are going to then consolidate. The New Zealand dollar is a great example of this, because we saw those big U's move up, right? So what happens after markets make big moves? They go to consolidate. Look at Litecoin right now, by the way, just to give you this overview, right? This is what markets do. This is just, like I said, crypto, things unfold drastically quicker than it does in any other market. So this is like, we looked at the monthly chart of Amazon and compared that with the weekly chart of Bitcoin, because that's the difference. Look over here, though, on Litecoin. This is what markets do. Markets expand, consolidate, expand, consolidate, expand, consolidate, expand, consolidate, expand. So have that in your mind as you're looking at setups. If you feel like something, right? If you feel like something is not breaking out. And by the way, right, anytime you see the trend of the market, like on this on Litecoin in particular, you're not getting retests, right? You're not getting breakout, retest, resumptions, right? The retests are actually this. This is the breakout. This is the retest, right? Look at this. Here's the breakout, retest, right? So where's the next entry opportunity on Litecoin? A retest into here, right? So, but by the way, you could also, it's not just there that you could be looking for the retest and the resumption. You could be looking as the consolidations or patterns are forming to buy off the support of the trend line, to buy off the support of the trend line as you resume off there. Those are also good entries. So US dollar. So I don't trade the yuan. Oh, you have CH. What's the ticker for the yuan? Like I said, I don't trade it. What's the ticker for the Chinese yuan? Could someone let me know, please? All right, we'll come back to that then in a second. I would love to take a look at it. I need the correct ticker on that. Oh, so by the way, I don't trade exotic markets whatsoever. I just don't trade them. Is there a danger you're not seeing? No, I'm not going to correct anything that you're doing there. It's clear to me, right? And that's probably, watch out though. I showed earlier this morning in the live stream that JP Morgan was putting out a paper. Look, the election's not over. And watch out for a severe correction in that trade if you see all of a sudden any decisions. There you go, CNY. My mistake. I'm not thinking clearly this morning because I just couldn't come up with it. There could be a major correction over here. Is this election night over here? This is election night as Trump was winning, right? And Trump was winning election night. As Trump was winning before they closed all the polls and the ballot dumps, arrived. And you could see then this is now pricing and biting. If there's, watch the risk, the only risk to this, I don't trade it. I'll never trade it. I don't trade exotic markets. I have plenty of, anyway, watch out. That's your risk. If you get like all of a sudden the Supreme Court enters into there's so many wild cards. Be careful. All right. Let's go back up over here. All right, Brandon, good question. And I'm just I randomly picked this one. I will continue going back up in case anyone above Brandon put in a comment. So he's wondering, when did I settle in on the 8-hour and focusing on trending markets in that manner you do now? How long has it been? So, by the way, my early career, right? When I first started trading, I traded first the 5-minute. I have extensive experience on the 5-minute, and then the 3-minute on the futures markets, on the E-minis. On the E-minis, I would trade the 3 minutes, right? And then eventually I made my way up to the 4-hour, and then I thought that was like a high time frame. I could say there was an extended period of time in the year 2009. 2009, I was trading both the 4-hour and the 8-hour. I was trading both of them, the same system, the same exact system on both time frames. And I was doing this through 2008 also. In 2008, during the crisis, the 4-hour time frame outperformed the 8-hour time frame for that period of time, that fall of 2008, September, October, November, December. The 4-hour way outperformed the 8-hour time frame. There was like the volatility we saw in March that went on for months. And the 8-hour was still extraordinarily profitable. But from that's the only time period that the 4-hour outperformed the 8-hour time period. The 8-hour, outside of that small window of the crisis, the 8-hour always outperformed the 4-hour. And actually, there's plenty of space in there that the 4-hour is not profitable at all because there's just too much whipsaw. So I don't have the exact year. but I know into 2000, I don't know if it was 2007, that would be around when I would say. Um, that's the best I could give. It's a long time ago. Raleigh, come on, Raleigh. You're talking about the triangle. It used to be the people with the most PhDs, the area, the most PhDs in the whole United States. I think that many pairs have been in a wide range. By the time the true trend was showing a direction, it was extreme, and that made me lose a lot of trades. Lewis, that's interesting. That's very good self-understanding of seeing what's going on. We are in a wide range right now. We are in a wide range, and it's sideways. I don't think I missed any comments. Would you trade the 8-hour if you're in a leverage trade? Mario, we're risking, depending on where you are, either 1% or 0.5% per trade. It doesn't matter what leverage you're using. Like, I just use default on a MetaTrader 4, 1 to 200, on Alonda 1 to 50. You could use 1 to 10. You're still risking 0.5% of the account. That really doesn't matter. If you're talking about in crypto and everything else, look, forget what the leverage is. You should only be risking the same amount per trade. Very important. Would the 4-hour make sense for equities since the 4 hours covers the first half and second half? I don't think so. I think that one of the truths to trading and investing is the higher your time preference, the higher your chance of success. I don't think that coming down to the 4-hour is going to give you not at all. I think even the 8-hour, which is fine for equities, for equities, I think you should have even a longer time frame horizon. But no, I don't think the 4-hour is something that you should do at all. If you're trading Bitcoin leveraged, right, hopefully the max you're using is 3x, right, Mario? But yeah, I use the 8-hour. I use the 8-hour. Not only that, Mario, I lean towards, although I look, there's a video on the channel, right, that talks about using it's called the Bitcoin is beginner strategy, using the 12-hour time frame. And I think it's listed as beginners, but it's an extraordinary strategy, right? And I think that the 12-hour is probably even better. Brandon and I, the same day, were talking about that on the Telegram chat. The 12-hour is a really good time frame for crypto. Southern food. I love me some barbecue. 5x is a lot. Be careful. And if you got yourself into a good position early on, then you're cruising. If you got into a Bitcoin position under 13,000, that's 5x. Mario, you're on autopilot. There's nothing else for you to do but hold through the top of the bull market, right? Oh, see, that's the advantage of being a New Yorker, though. We get all types. That's Mario. That's good. That's very similar to where I am as well. That's very good. Could we have a look at the euro Australian dollar? Of course we can. So Mario, you're sitting tight, right? And just sit tight. If you're into 5x is a highly leveraged position, you're up almost 100% on the trade from your initial entry. Forget 5x on that. Listen, Mario, play it smart. Don't be in a rush to mess up a great thing. Yeah, New Jersey, New York, they're basically the same thing in many aspects, unless you live there. But if you live elsewhere, then they're the same, right? So euro, Australian dollar, Stefano is focused over there. You're thinking about a long off the support, right? So first of all, the entry was down here during London this morning. If you were thinking of doing that, you do not want to chase that if that's what you're still looking to do. Now, I have to say that, and I say it often, it is possible in ranging markets to have the strategy where you're selling resistance and buying support. That's fine. It's possible to do. I never do it personally, ever. And it's because I'm looking for trades that actually could break multiple support or resistance levels. And when you're in a ranging market, you don't really have that opportunity. Now, this is a bit of a range here. There's no question about that. 300, 400 pips over here, right? It's a bit of a range. You know, since I don't do it, it's hard to recommend it. But at the same time, I don't condone it. I wouldn't be like, look, you shouldn't do that. I'm very very consistent on that. If you could do that, since you're looking at this though, right? And by the way, the entry was over here during London, right, where my mouse is right now. You can't enter this trade now. You're chasing that trade, right? That's important. And look where my mouse is now. Look to the left. You're coming into an area also of resistance. So make sure you don't buy there. What else? What else do we want to talk about? We can talk about anything this session. Alan will put in the disclaimer, that's for sure. What other questions do we have, though? I would love to talk about anything that you guys want to talk about here in this session together. Love spending this time together with y'all. Boy or girl, I have no idea yet. We have no idea yet. Absolutely. We'd be happier with either. We pray for a healthy birth, health for the mother and child. And, the youngest in the family is a boy. Another boy would be great. US dollar, Turkish lira. I mean, listen, that's crazy. What happened over here, by the way? I wish I knew what sparked this little bit of huge move down over here. But listen, I don't trade exotics. I remember earlier in the year that I wanted to get involved in this trade to the long side. I have zero regret about that move and not participating in it, simply because it's much more important to me to stick to discipline. I could see for if I knew this trade right now was going to fall from 7.5 to 7, if I knew it with 99% certainty, I would not take the trade, because for me, it's way more important to be successful in the markets, to have that discipline. And if I do this right now against my rules, my system, the structure that I've set up for myself to be successful, I am then opening up the door to break every other habit and rule I've set forth, which is the only thing that keeps me successful. So, I think I don't recommend trading these type of markets at all. Brandon, I don't even know. Sixth kid, I don't even know. I don't know. She went to the doctor for the first time, though, yesterday. Everything is great. They said that actually they believe that the conception date was a little earlier than they thought by a couple of weeks. I guess if I could guess, it's around 10 weeks, 11, 12. I'm not really sure. So Daniel, and so yes. So a couple of, listen, the question is, I'm averaged in at 12,000. And if I want to add a bigger position in Bitcoin, do I wait for the first 30% pullback before adding it and not rushing it? So, definitely revert back to the 3 ways to trade Bitcoin. The easiest way and most way traders should do it, Mario, already in a good entry, is simply hold it through the duration of the market. Now, adding to 30% pullbacks, absolutely all day long. If the first 30% pullback happened from today, you'll be higher than your 12,000 average entry. Should you add to the position? Yeah, it's a good one. Should you, listen, Danielle, there is the possibility we spoke about this morning. What happens if we don't have any 30% pullbacks? Now, myself and most everyone is already fully positioned in. So if we don't have a 30% pullback and I never add to my Bitcoin position, I meet and achieve all my goals. It doesn't matter. You don't sound like you're fully positioned in, right? For sure you don't, right? So, I mean, maybe you want to consider maybe, maybe 20% pullbacks. I think we're going to have 30% pullbacks? I really do. Is it possible we only have 25? Yeah. Is it possible we only have 20? It's possible. I showed you VJ this morning was talking about it, but I am definitely in the camp. We have 30% pullbacks. I think that's the smartest way for you to trade it. If you were to have your first 20% pullback and that came to 15,000, Danielle, is that a good place to add? Probably, right? At that point, even if you had another 10% pullback, you're still above your average price. It's a good way to do it. Could we explain risk on, risk off? Yes, right? I wish I could do a video on risk on, risk off. I really do. But I really can't. So it's very nuanced. I could say this to you. First of all, Benji, after this little bit of explanation, do go ahead and do a little bit of searches on, risk off, right? So risk on in the market means that investors, traders are willing to take on more risk. They feel that everything is status quo, right? There are certain instruments such as commodity currencies, the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, the Canadian dollar, that perform well in those type of environments, as does oil in a risk-on environment. Oil is going to perform very well. Now, you also have risk-off currencies. When things are uncertain. Now, there are two types of risk-on, risk-off also. There is, in the monetary system, there is also geopolitical. If it's geopolitical, you're going to see gold become a risk-off currency. There's a flight into gold. If it's monetary, you're going to see gold, like over here during the crisis, sell off. And then you see US dollar, Japanese yen, Swiss franc be the beneficiaries. It goes Japanese yen is the strongest, then the US dollar, then the Swiss franc. Those are risk-off currencies. When there's risk-off in the market, when there's a problem, people then generally flee to those types of currencies. That's risk on, risk off, right? And like I said, I wish I could add more, right? Equity markets, when we're in risk off, they're trading down, no question about it, right? When we're risk on, they're rising. Pura Vida, I hope that explanation with Daniel really helped you. So, by the way, I want to continue because you continued, Benji. You're asking, why does that happen? Why does that happen? And listen, that's why I said or recommended maybe go and do some further research. And the reason being is because when it comes to the markets, not entirely, but when it comes to the markets, and I could use, like, people ask me, Jordan, why is it breakout? Here's the resistance. Why is it breakout, retest, and resumption? I have no idea what's happening here behind the scenes. I just know what is, right? I make observations, and the way that Jordan is programmed is I'm concerned with what is, not why, right? So I know what are the risk on and what are the risk off currencies. And I know the situations where we see either of those two occur. I don't know why. And because I'm not concerned with the why. If I was, like with Bitcoin, I'm concerned why. It took me years to really begin to understand Bitcoin. Not what's going on the full year cycle, but what Bitcoin is. But I don't know the why. So Scott's asking if our position size is based on percentage of account, why trade any positioned leveraged versus not? Well, why I don't fully understand your question, Scott. So when I got into man, right? Over 20 years ago, I started trading. Actually, it was about 17 years ago I started trading FX, right? And, it was leverage trading. It took me a long time to figure out how to use that leverage to my advantage and not against me, right? So are you asking, should you just trade FX on a cross? I mean, without leverage? Maybe. I don't know. Is there any advantage to doing that over using the leverage? I mean, to me, it doesn't matter if I'm using 110 or 1 to 200 leverage. It's the same position size. I don't know, Scott. Is there any advantage to not doing that? You know, Zeno, what is gold versus GGX miners? Can we pull that up? How do I pull that up? If you could give me the correct ticker, Zeno, I would absolutely love to do that. For us, that was a long time. We have almost 2 years, between children. Jordan, how did you get an Epic Pass? How did you know I have an Epic Pass? Oh, did I get one? Yes, I did. I got the local pass, right? So I guess we'll be spending some time at Keystone this year, but we got I guess about 10 passes to Vail. Derek, as I'm gonna be taking the kids for lessons for sure. As I do, I will let you know. We're gonna definitely make some turns together, 100%. Do I see New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen as an opportunity to the downside? Let's take a look over here, right? So right now, what I'm seeing on the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen is a couple of different things, right? The first thing I'm seeing is this 5-year breakout. You see that 5-year trend line? That's a breakout to the upside, right? For me, that's very bullish. The next thing I'm seeing is that after the breakout, we are consolidating above this support over here. So far, still very bullish. Now, you got to be flexible in your mind. What do I mean by that? Like, I have this trend line up here. Let me make it even exact for you, right? I have this trend line over here, right? That's nice. A break above that, I like it a lot. Can I even put it in a little bit? It's fine, right? Now, I also see on the downside that it looks like we're kind of horizontal. But if price made a lower low over here, I also see that that's like possible as well, right? So you got to be a little bit flexible, right? And because I don't know what the market's going to do. I have to wait and see what the market's doing. And also, do you see I have that support line over here? Like, and there's also support right over here, right over there. So could the market come back down into there? That's all extremely bullish for me. I'm bullish on the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. There's no way that I'm looking to short the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, right? If you're looking for short against the yen, it looks like the euro might be the pair to watch out for, right? That's showing me signs of possibly, let me just pull back really quick, like getting below that area of support over here after just breaking this angle of the channel over here. That looks more susceptible to weakness. But the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, I'm only looking here. This is uber bullish if this support holds and you break out. That's uber bullish. This is still bullish if we come back down to here. That's also an opportunity to buy off of that local support over there, off of the support of this little bit of a channel being preemptive. For me to become bearish on the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, at this point, we would need to break down below this support over here, back below that trend line over there. So no. I'm entirely bullish on the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. And even if we have further weakness, because I'm saying, is it possible we're seeing like risk off come into the markets, like signs of it? And if we had a bigger, drawdown, I wouldn't take this to the downside. From here to here, that's picking a top, in my opinion. Now, if you zoom out, are you still in see the break of that trend line? That's a bullish technical break. So I'm not looking for resistance saying we're in a downtrend. I'm looking to sell resistance. Are we into resistance right over here? Yeah, that's resistance. But I'm not looking to sell it because That's way too, I'm more focused on over here. What's happening on my chart over here. Could you talk about whether you count break-even trades towards your win ratio? Yeah, they're factored into my win ratio, of course. Your overall win ratio is how much money you make versus how much money you're losing, right? So, but by the way, that actually improves my overall win ratio, the break-even trades. Jordan, I have Bitcoin holding on BlockFi, and I have some trading with GBTC in a tax advantage account, right? On what platform exchanges could I place limit orders to pick up more Bitcoin on a quick pullback? If you're using GBTC in Ameritrade, for example, you could use limit orders in whatever your tax advantage account is. Excuse me. You can on BlockFi. BlockFi is your holding Bitcoin, earning a little bit of interest on it. But whatever your tax advantage account is should offer ways such as Ameritrade to use limit orders. Yes, right. That's 100%. Oh, you say why? Because they're extremely low volume. So you all know that on the individual chart, I don't place volume. Someone once astutely pointed out that I do consider volume. Why? Because I only trade the London session. I only trade the time of the day that has the most volume, right? So I am absolute, and I avoid, like the plague, Asia with the lowest volume, because I found out after years, because I always thought the shorter time frame, the more potential to profit. The more trades I take, the more potential to profit. It's absolutely reversely true, right? But for me, finding out, and it's because of the low volume, that Asia has many false signals. Those weeks, the last 2 weeks of August, most everyone in finance is on vacation. There's low volume. The same thing in December. Everyone's on vacation. I used to think, it doesn't matter. I can still trade it. No, you're just better off avoiding them. The only reason I avoid them is because it's better off for my P&L at the end of the day. Is that the US dollar? So, I mean, I feel like we got a lot of support down over here. I'm looking at a 3-day chart, by the way, and it looks to me like I'm looking at a very low time frame chart. You could see all of these big moves that occur here. This is why I don't like exotics. It's hard for me to read. Let me try a weekly chart. Are you looking at potentially breaking down below here? Is that what you say? I could see it a little bit clearer on the weekly. It's just very hard to trade, right? I'm on the weekly chart. Let's even look at a monthly chart. Maybe we could get a little bit further clarity over here. See, a monthly chart looks a little clearer over here. So are you potentially breaking down right now? Look, follow just my mouse. I wish I could point with my finger, but I'll point with my mouse like this. These 2 points are lining up clearly with these last 2 touches. You're now potentially trading below it, right? So now we could go to a higher time frame. I mean, I think you'll have better luck, not luck, but more success avoiding these type of markets. Just look at these moves, are massive. It's very fuzzy. So Craig and Greg might actually, if Greg's listening, probably have the best answer to this. I listen. I'm coming from a different perspective over here, right? I have extensive experience, right? So I'm wondering, for the sake of the course, for the sake of developing traders, if the 3 trade rule is very important, because most traders, they tend to overtrade, and you should not be taking more than 3 trades a week. I've seen extensive results of people following that rule of success. Coming in with vast experience, 15 years experience, or coming in with no experience at all. So I feel like it's a good one. There's no question over the last few weeks. I feel like, I put on one trade on FX. I feel like people should be trading a lot less. I wonder whether or not there needs to be some type of caveat, about avoiding sideways markets. I don't have the answer to that just yet. Brian, I joined late, but added to add that the chat about Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum from some point easy bleeds in Q4 and then goes on the most polls runs in Q1. And I don't have the data in front of me, but it seems to me that January, I'm not sure about this. Notice that I'm saying to you, I'm not sure. That January is not the best for Bitcoin. So that's interesting. That first quarter is good for Bitcoin. Brian, go back and look at that though. Thank you for adding that in. I'm glad we got that. Yeah, Gary, it's essential. So, Gary, outside of this, if you're looking at a descending wedge, on a descending wedge, they're not going to be parallel because it's a wedge, right? But if you're looking at a channel, they always have to be cloned. They always have to have the exact same angle, always. That symmetry exists in the market for sure, Gary. You need, when you're forming a channel, that the two lines have the same angle. And you'll also notice that if I'm having trouble finding the angle, over here, if I can't find the angle on the upside, I'll go down over here to where it's clearer. I'll get the exact angle, right? And then I'll be able to bring it up and then have the angle on the upside. They have to be parallel. They have to have the same angle. Add compare GDX to gold. So if I go like this to gold, I'm on the daily, and then I do compare GDX. So by the way, what do you all choose here? Same scale, new price scale, new pain. This is an update here. I'm not even sure what I would do over here. Lawrence, I'll see you tomorrow. Greg, absolutely. No, BlockFi is only for holding Bitcoin. I mean, you could trade in and out of it, but not with any type of limit orders or stop orders. You could trade from one asset to another on BlockFi, but you cannot do it with any type of limit orders. No, Jeffrey, there's no way to do that. Yes, Ron, you could buy off the bottom of the flag on the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. But I'll look at that in 1 second because right now we're on horizontal support, trying to figure out the GDX game over here. Why do you avoid Mondays and Fridays to trade? Eugene, I take trades up until on Friday, up until New York opens. Right? Normally I'm trading through London close. On Fridays, it's only through the New York open, but I take trades on Friday all the time. Why do I tend to avoid trades on Monday? Listen, most traders, they're looking for the market to open. They're looking for a setup, and they're looking to get into a trade on Sunday night, Monday in Asia, or Monday in London. As it turns out, there's a lot to price in from over the weekend. There's a lot of volatility on the open, right? Waiting to see what happens the first day and then doing my analysis Monday morning in New York, and then even, if there's a trade that's set up, that's fine. It usually sets up a good trade on Tuesday's session for Wednesday. It's just because that's where I find out, I get the most clarity. As I get older and older and older, I'm looking for clarity, and that's it. So I'm just going to, I guess, go with this. All right, so we're looking at the daily chart over here. I don't see much of a difference at all. By the way, Salinas, the third richest person in Mexico, who just put 10% of his net worth into Bitcoin, the other 90% is in miners. Now, he's an expert. Well, that says a lot. He is an expert. This guy is, this billionaire is heavily and has heavily been a proponent of silver and trying to back the peso by silver. He understands the sector. He's got 90% of his wealth in it, right? But there, I don't see much of a difference at all tracking spot versus GDX, even a little bit. All right. Anything else we want to talk about? I'm in no rush to leave. If anyone else has any other questions on their mind, I would love to discuss or talk about it. We wanted to look at the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Let's take a look at it right now. And let me remove this first. So right now on the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, by the way, you could see that you could buy off if right now what is happening. Right now what is happening is this. This support over here is holding. This is the pattern I see. It's possible that this is what's developing. If we break down over here, then yes, then this is still bullish. That's a bull flag, downward sloping channel, very bullish. However, right now, this is what we're seeing, right? And a breakout over here, that's a bullish entry for me, conquering the markets all day long. Yeah, so it looks like, did you see the beginning of Nicholas, the beginning of this session when we were talking about Ethereum and Bitcoin, and it looks not, as Bitcoin right now is over here, right over here, testing the all-time high, on the verge of testing the all-time high. In the last cycle, Bitcoin pulled back 30% from here. And then as it went on to go make its next all-time high, Ethereum started running. Here's the chart. This is where we are today, right over here. We went on to test the all-time high, and then we had a 30% pullback. Ethereum didn't move, right? Then as Bitcoin started rising off that 30% drawdown, right, testing the all-time high again, Ethereum started running. And then as Bitcoin had its second 30% pullback, Ethereum didn't blink. Was there a difference over here? What's going on Ethereum? They were the ICOs. That is a difference. There is DeFi this time. There was also Ethereum 2.0 this time. But generally speaking, I'm not going to put a time frame on it because from my calculations, it was 6 months after the halving that the alt season started. Now looking back, right? Looking back, we'll be able to say that it was 6 months. Right? Where are we? We have April. We have May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Are we going to look back and say, yes, it was 6 months that all season started? It looks like it, right? And that was I've been sharing it for months, for a year. From my calculations, all season starts 6 months after the halving. It looks like we're right on time. Yeah, so Chris, we'll get into that 1 second. Do I look for an actual risk reward ratio when I look for? So two things. First thing that's most important, I'm avoiding sideways markets, looking for markets that are moving, that have the potential to move multiple support or resistance levels. As I enter the trade, my risk reward going into that first resistance when buying or that first support when selling from where my stop loss is can be 1-to-1. All day long. That throws a lot of traders off because a lot of traders are looking for a risk to reward of 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 entering a trade. That's nonsense for me. I use 1-to-1 because as price moves, right, up into that first support or resistance, I'm moving my stop loss to break even, and I'm not looking to take profit there, automatically improving that overall risk to reward. Do we like Link right now? So what I have to say about Link, right? This was pretty bullish. The fact that we had the breakout, this was the retest, and now it's resuming off, right? See, it's easier. You could see it on the 8-hour all day long. This is the entry right here, right? But it's clearer on the 12-hour. Take a look, explore, see if you like the crypto better on 12-hour. Is that an entry? That's conquering the markets all day long. That's the break of that important resistance level we've been watching, right? First it was 1292, then 1325, break, retest, resumption. No, I can't talk about, what do you mean? How many entries? I don't trade without leverage. I trade with leverage, right? The only thing that I have without leverage is Bitcoin, and I just hold that. So I don't trade it. You know, I look to enter and or exit. So with FX, by the way, I'm going to actually right away, I'm going to include a module with information on how to use Oanda and how to set your risk per trade using Oanda and TradingView. We have it on a live session. I'll make it easier for you to see and find. What you should be concerned with is setting your risk per trade at 0.5%, no matter where you put your stop. Don't even worry about the leverage. You're risking 0.5% per trade, depending on where your stop loss is how you figure out the position size. I will go ahead and share that section with you. It will really help you out, or even create a new one. I have no idea, Sungchu, what time zone my charts are set for, and the reason being, because it doesn't matter. Why do I say that? Just trade whatever's on your chart. It doesn't matter if you're using the IDC time frame. Look on the Euro US dollar. I don't use it. I use FXCM. I do not care. I just look. You're trading off the 8-hour time frame, which means that no matter what, anyway, you have the same support and resistance levels, right? Even still, if I were to look at the 1 hour, it's still the same support and resistance levels as you could draw on the daily time frame. It doesn't. I don't know if FXCM or IDC offers any individual edge. Maybe on one trade, on an individual trade, it offers a better entry. But over a series of 1,000 trades, I have no idea. I don't even care. I trade what's on my chart. Guess what? When I first started trading back in 2000, there were like different Forex brokers had all sorts of different data, different charting, and I was placing orders on just trade whatever on your chart. The bull flag to buy off the bottom is not a breakout retest resumption. Would you look for it to buy? So I think I think Ron, what you're talking about, I don't know if it's on New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. I don't know if it's in general. I don't know if you're talking about what I was showing you on LinkedIn, on Litecoin. So breakout, retest, resumption is conquering the markets all day long, right? Now, does that mean that's the only entry? No, it does not, right? That's the one that you should only worry about and focus in on, right? Until you're constantly profitable. But look over here, like this is an example. This is a wild, rough example, right? If you look over, is this even the best example to use? I don't know. If you're looking at this, right, as the support line over here, and this is the first test, like could you take this entry over here? I feel like it's a little too soon in that case, right? And then this develops a little further, right? By the time you get down over here, could I take that entry? Yeah, right? What about over here? Yeah. I mean, this is very nuanced. I don't think this is even the best example. I wish I had the last time I did it to give you an example. I remember on the Euro US dollar going back to, I think, June doing this. It's a different example. But over here, I did this, right? This was big resistance, right? It was over here. It was over here. This is big resistance. This, by the way, that's a trend line over here that I'm looking at is a 12-year trend line. It was big resistance. I was following this channel over here, right? As we came down over to here, this is where I took my entry. It was before the breakout, the retest, the resumption. By the way, you had breakout, retest, resumption. You had another retest, resumption. That's all you need to focus in on. I was preemptive on this trade. I I had my pulse on the market. I felt like we were getting ready to break out above over here, and my entry was off the support. It's completely relevant to what you're asking, Ron, right? But after all of that rambling, you should focus on breakout, retest, resumption. I think if we have a stimulus package, especially if the Senate is won by Democrats, and especially Georgia election, runoff election, and especially if Biden is sworn in, I think that precious metals will go really ballistic on a big stimulus package. I don't think that they'll outperform Bitcoin though, and that's what happened last time too. It was Litecoin that started the season, and also in the bear market, Litecoin also starts the bear market. Benji, what's the question that I missed? I've only used for 4 or 5 months now BlockFi. I only use BlockFi. If you're in Mexico, they have Bitso, but that's with pesos, not dollars. Brandon getting on the chain link. Chris. What do I think about the NASDAQ dropping in half? I don't think anything about that. First of all, let's talk about the NASDAQ really quick, right? If we break down below this over here, you'll see me being very bearish on the NASDAQ, looking to attack, right? A little bit further here on the S&P, even if we break below that trend line, I'll be looking to attack. Now, I live on the 8-hour time frame. So even considering if the NASDAQ could fall in half from here is not within my realm of understanding and or thinking, because this is so bullish, it's ridiculous, right? We have all the other markets almost near all-time highs, and the NASDAQ is 3.5% off of all-time highs in an atmosphere where the Fed is expanding its balance sheet by $1.4 trillion a year, and the U.S. government is taking on massive debt, about to go into MMT at some point in the future. So I'm ultra bullish on the equity markets unless we get something on the charts showing me different. Okay? So with equity markets in general, everyone will have a lot more success with being bulls unless the markets are falling. Because when the markets are falling, they fall fast and hard, right? And when they're not falling, they're not falling. So, I can't consider the NASDAQ falling in half why it's 3.5% off all-time highs, right? So, if we get a technical break down, I could become looking for a correction. But, the markets are kind of artificially supported here. For a reason outside of your control, right? If it's outside of your control, it's outside of your control. Entering as a retesting all-time high goes against so much wisdom, yet in the bigger context has a case. No. So if you look at no. So what I'm saying no is because no. So, you're saying look, this is the all-time high, man, it goes against everything I know. But look, if you break out and you come back and retest that and that holds a resumption off, do buy that. Not financial advice, understand why you're doing it. And to understand why you're doing it, please go back and start watching every single video in my Bitcoin playlist. But look over here. This is the last time that happened. This is the last time. This was the all-time high in the last cycle. Follow my mouse. This line right over here. The last time that we broke above it, right? You can't see because these are in your way. I'll delete them and then I'll add them. Right? So here it is. Nope, this is the all-time high. Here's the breakout. You don't come back down and test exactly. You test 30% down. And that's why, listen, Run DMC. Ooh, Run DMC. Oh, man. Run DMC. Go back and watch though the Bitcoin playlist and really understand why you're doing. Like I fully support the Winklevoss brothers. Big fans. So Dan on Oanda, you have no determined risk per trade on the demo. Dan, you have to connect Oanda to TradingView in order to be able to pull up the calculator that is going to show you the risk per trade. If you're using the Oanda app itself, you cannot do that. You need to use the trading. It's a huge advantage. And if you're in Europe, by the way, and you don't have the advantage of using the Oanda calculator, trading off of TradingView, just go ahead and open up a demo account in the US or something, or somewhere else in the world, and then go ahead and use the demo account connected to TradingView to use that tool. Yes, 100%. No. There's one difference over here. No. So listen, when you're risking 0.5%, your goal is you're looking to average, starting off, 1% per month. It's not until you increase your risk to 1% per trade that you're targeting 2 to 3% average monthly. Do you understand the difference there? When you're risking 0.5%, which until you're consistently profitable, you're only risking 0.5%, you're looking to have that consistent gains of 1% a month. After you have 3 months of 1% a month, you could then increase your risk. You'll know when you could do it to 1%, not 0.5% per trade. At that point, you're targeting 2 to 3% a month. What I meant is when you trade a range, you're not breaking through resistance or support in order to retest resume. Thus, when you hit the bottom of the range or flag, what is the entry signal? I don't trade ranges. Like we could go to the Euro Australian dollar. Which is in a range. Like I don't trade ranges, right? But the entry signal, by the way, if you're trading a range, is the same thing. Like this is the retest. This is the support. This is the retest, the resumption off. Price makes a higher high, which answers your question, Ron. It's the higher high off of that support level that is the entry. It's just price giving you that first little indication it's resuming back. So just to keep it simple, to answer your question, it's the higher high out of the bottom of that range. I didn't. I haven't even looked at it. I have not. I haven't even looked at it. I'm glad you told me. It hasn't even been in my mind. And you know, this was what I was targeting a breakdown of that, which we currently still have, right? My entry was around 2250, 2220, I don't know, in that area. You know, and you know, as long as we're below this area I was targeting to break, I feel very comfortable. But I'm not going to reassess my position unless I felt like we're seeing. I'm not reassessing my position right now, but I haven't even been mindful of it, Scott. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. Yeah, these Pure Vita, these cryptos, especially in these bull markets, make massive moves. You got it, Benji. Me too. Absolutely. What a joy. Thank you all for allowing me to share my experience with you all. You know, let's put out with some music. Thanks, everyone. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. And I'll see you all in the morning. everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, G. Thanks, Raul, Eugene. Thanks, everyone. That's right, Ron. There we go, Ron. I'm glad. Towards the look, it's been a couple hours, a few hours now. Talking without breakfast, I get a little bit of low energy in the head over there. I couldn't put the thoughts together well. I think we figured it out though. Gary, is trading on the market supposed to be fun? Oh, that's a great question. So I think the question is, is trading, right? Are the markets supposed to be fun? Right? So let me answer that. No, for me, trading is completely detached. It's completely detachment. That goes like right now. So just to give you a little bit of perspective, thanks, brother. Just give you a little bit of perspective, right? Gary, it's a good question, right? Right now in Bitcoin, I'm sitting on a massive position that's going my way. When I say massive, at 9,000, I was over half of my net worth into the position. It's a massive position. And I'm up over 100, and I could care less. I could care less. I'm completely detached. And trading should be detached on your winners and your losers. That's how you do it. Now, the markets, should the markets be fun? Man, Gary, the markets are an absolutely enormous passion of mine. I love learning about them. I love talking about them. I love sharing about them. One of the reasons I got into the markets in the first place was because of I view them as the greatest challenge there is. You have all the capital of the world competing in a zero-sum game. So I don't think that trading should be fun. And if you're looking for fun, man, go snowboarding, go skiing. You know, there's like fun is fun, but the markets, you should be detached. So that's my opinion. Well, I mean, Stefano, you could look at the Swiss franc, Japanese yen, two risk-off pairs, and they go up and down versus each other. You know, they go up and down versus each other. But generally speaking, if you see we're risk-off, you do not want to trade these two. You want to be attacking the first week there, so these were strong. Vice versa, if these are weak, you want to be attacking against them. I wouldn't be. I'm not looking for any type of entry on Bitcoin. Mario, don't mess up your great position. You have a beautiful position, Mario. You don't need to do anything but sell at the end of this. But no, the next entry for myself on Bitcoin is a 30% drawdown. Awesome. I'm going to go out on this comment. It's so important. Detachment equals the flow state. I didn't even put the two together. It's true. That's where you want to be trading from. You have to be emotionalist to be trading from a state of flow. To be emotionalist, you have to be detached. That's awesome, C. Brown. Mario, you got it. Everyone, have a beautiful day. And I'll talk to you later.